Bit 16, you've never seen a review like this. Weird old games you cannot tame, these things you don't miss. SNESman is the champion, he is 16-bit. SNESman is the champion, he is 16-bit.
Hello, YouTube. Like me, I'm sure you're so excited waiting for Donkey Kong Country Returns to come out. And I'm sure once it comes out, it'll be the greatest game. What? What's that you say? It already came out? What am I doing here? Let's go! Gotta get Donkey Kong Country. Yes, Donkey Kong Country Returns for the Wii is out in North America now. You may be wondering why I'm reviewing this when I'm SNESman. Well, that's because this game's so similar to the 2D games from the Super Nintendo, I thought it covered my turf. And, in honor of DK's big return, I'm going to give you a brief history of his games. His first game was just called Donkey Kong, and it was released in 1981 in the arcades. DK had 2 minor sequels in the early 80s, but these weren't too fantastic. But then on the Super Nintendo was the holy grail of the DK series, Donkey Kong Country. This series was pure brilliant 16-bit bliss. Everything about it that Rare created was brilliant. The graphics, the music, the gameplay, the characters, it was all perfect. When you played these, you had to be ready for a good fun challenge. You had to grind through some tough levels and unlock all the secrets, but that was part of the fun. So what happened to this brilliant series that Rare created? Where did they go? Well, from here on out there were no Donkey Kong Country games, but there was a pretty impressive 64 game. People have quite different opinions. I think it's a pretty good game personally, but nothing like the old ones. But after that, DK just went downhill. No longer did they have the great company of Rare to make their games. Instead, they just had average kind of games that they made. Nothing that could match a Mario or a Zelda or any Nintendo standard. So fans of these old classic games were left in the dark. Until Donkey Kong Country Returns for the Wii. Like the popular and very well-made new Super Mario Bros. Wii, this game revitalizes the whole series. Wow, it's like Nintendo read our minds. Finally a new Donkey Kong Country game, what we've been waiting for. I got this game as soon as I could, but not on release date. Here's the brand new box. It makes me quake with excitement. Once you open up the package, you find out that there's a manual with Cranky Kong giving his hilarious comments. Cranky, oh how I missed you. You were hilarious back in the old days. Cranky Kong, who is supposedly the grandpa of DK and the original Donkey Kong from the arcade, had some hilarious manuals where he'd comment in. My favorite of these was Donkey Kong 64 when he complains how much this game sucks and how great his day was. But back to the new Wii game. For this review, I'll have to use my camcorder to record the footage. Sorry that I don't have better equipment for reviewing newer games, but I'm SNESman and I'm stuck in the old days, so bear with me. From the main menu, you can access your controls, nunchuck style or horizontal. Horizontal is the classic sideways style. Many gamers prefer this, but I'd have to say I like the nunchuck. It feels more comfortable. So now we got our options ready, let's get down to gaming. The villain in this game is a giant tiki. I think I miss the old enemies. Go away, you piece of crap, Tiki. We want the Kremlings. We want K. Rool. Oh, this is more like it. DK's old house. You begin the game by beating the tar out of this wimpy little Tiki that invades your home. That'll teach him. The moment that you take control of DK is truly thrilling. For the first time in 14 years, you can play a new Donkey Kong Country game, and right off the bat, it has the same golden feel. It may have vibrant graphics and new moves like this ground pound, but the core side-scroller experience is still here in top-notch quality. DK has been resurrected. If you didn't know by now that this game is lots of fun, then let me enlighten you and tell you, yes, it is. This is a Nintendo classic. You probably know that this is really similar to the old side-scrollers, but let me tell you about new things. First is the graphics. The graphics are vastly improved from the Super Nintendo version. This was even obvious at E3, so why am I telling you? Well, because most people have underestimated the graphics in this game. It appears at first that they're pretty non-detailed and cheesy, but really as you play the game you realize there's a lot of detail to the environments and it's really cool. A cool graphical effect is shooting into the background. Not only is this an interesting looking idea, but it creates extra depth to the game, similar to Little Big Planet. Because of these new generation graphics and details, they can pull off level design never imagined before. For instance, you can have a giant octopus attack. Now that is thrilling. So to make a long story short, the graphics look great, but also enhance the gameplay. A great combo. Alright, so what else is new to this game? The controls. Like many Wii games, you can actually choose different control setups. The Wii Remote is a strange and alien thing to 16-bit people like me, but still, it's nice that you can choose different options in this game. There's the main nunchuck setting, and then, if you unplug this, you can actually turn the controller around and use it like an NES controller. Playing the 8-bit. But what you may wonder is, are these controls any good when you're actually playing the game? Yes, the controls are actually quite good. It takes some getting used to at first to use the motion controls for special moves, but once you get the hang of it, it's a blast to play through. Compared to most Wii games now, the movements are sharp, you can do quick, nice jumps, and you just feel like you have a good control on the game. They're still not perfect, of course. Once you get in sticky situations, you realize that the motion controls sometimes have minor flaws. But for the most part, these are very good controls and they are fun to play with. Let me show you how some of these controls work on the nunchuck way. Moving around is obvious, jumping is very perfect to pull off. Now the special moves is where things get a little complicated. To pound the ground, you shake them like an idiot ape. Yes, you shake them and hit the ground. Yes, it makes you look like an idiot. To roll, or in other words use DK's main attack, you have to shake the controller while moving. Yes, it can be a little awkward. I preferred the old days where you had a button to do it, but now it works, it just takes some serious time to master. So we've established that once you get used to the controls, they're quite good. Now on to something else. The two-player mode. I really like the co-op mode. It's similar to New Super Mario Bros. Wii, but this time with only 2 players. 1 player is Donkey Kong, 2 player is Diddy. The sad part about this is that only 2 players are allowed to play as Diddy on his own. In single player mode, Diddy automatically jumps on your back and you can't switch between the 2 Kongs. That's a bummer because I thought Diddy was the best in the old games. Still, the little Diddy serves his purpose. In 1 player mode, he helps you with his rocket barrel so you can coast downwards, and in 2 player mode, he's his own playable character and he can climb on your back. This is actually surprisingly helpful with new people. Next topic of interest, difficulty. This game is quite hard. It's a lot harder than the old Donkey Kong Country games in my opinion. But this game helps you through by giving you plenty of lives and bonuses. In fact, you can buy lives and power-ups at Cranky Kong's shop. Just going there for his humor is worth it. The main times that you'll lose lives are on the instant death situations, like the rocket barrel and the infamous minecart levels. These ones are way more exhilarating and fun than in the past, but also much more hard. Still, some of the most fantastic moments in this game come from these levels. Another challenging but very entertaining part of the game is the boss battles. These parts are entertaining not only because of the battles, but because of the short cutscenes. They're very funny and lighthearted. The boss battles are much lengthier and more difficult than the earlier games, but they're still lots of fun. Ah, great stuff. Things to make it better. A little less trial and error gameplay on the instant death levels. It seems like they're a little unfair at times. Smoother rolling controls, more returning characters and animals from the series, and an option to play as Diddy on his own in one-player mode. Ah, but what a great revival of the series this is. In conclusion, this is a phenomenal, great recovery of the series. Since I'm SNES Man, I don't feel very good about grading a Wii game. Instead, I'll just tell you, highly recommended. Donkey Kong is a great and long-lasting series, and this game has proven that it is back and here to stay. It's almost in league with the Super Nintendo games. I mean, this new one has great music and graphics. Oh, but wait, the original had that theme song that made my heart throb.
Well, they call him Donkey Kong, and he's running right along, and the only words to say are yes, it's DK. Well, they call him Man of SNES, and he thinks that he's the best. So when DK steals the show, there's only one thing you need to know. SNES Man is number one. DK had better run, 'cause SNES Man reigns supreme, and he is bit 16. He is bit 16. He is bit 16. He is bit 16. SNES Man.